All right, guys, so today's haircut, we're going to have a lot of fun. It's a cool technique. What we're going to do is cut a precision underneath. So I want to section off the top first. So what I did was I followed the part line, which is slightly to the left side of her head, and then I go down to low crown and then across. I don't go all the way down to the occipital bone. I want to have a little extra density in the bottom for the bottom structure part of the haircut. So I go to the low crown and then diagonal forward down to behind the ear. I do that on both sides. That separates the top and the bottom of the haircut. So the bottom portion from the crown down, that's going to be our precision feel to the haircut. We're going to start by taking a vertical section straight down center back. That's going to be about a ½ inch, maybe a little bit more than a ½ inch wide. You don't want to go too wide on that section because that can really throw off your guideline as you're working across. So I'm going to start by going a nice high elevation. I don't want to build up too much weight. What tends to happen when somebody cuts more of a precision underneath and they're trying to stack it up is the bob gets too stacked, too much density build up, too much weight, and then it just kind of has a weird mushroomy effect to the haircut. So I wanted it to fall nice and sleek, especially with those disconnections that are going to fall over later. So you could see that elevation is nice and high, and then as I work down, I kind of follow the round of the head. I'm leaving a little bit of length at the bottom, so you'll see that kind of tail out at the bottom. We're going to cut that off after we blow it dry. So I don't want you guys to think that it's going to be really long in the back. We're actually deciding how much weight we want to leave, and then we'll decide the length later, which is a great technique. Any bob that you're cutting, you could go through and do that because it's going to help you kind of decide how much density you want first. Think about when you're cutting the back of the head, decide the density, then decide the length. So a lot of times we cut right away, we cut the bottom, and then we go through and we try to build the density and the elevation and how we want that graduation to look. We try to do it all based on how we cut the bottom, but that's not always the best way to do it. So I'm going to go through, you can see that little hole that gets built in there, but I'm going to take off that back when we get this back finished. Now, to keep my body position the same, what I'm doing now is scooping with the comb. So I was pulling everything towards the center, combing over top of the section. Now I'm combing kind of underneath the section, scooping my comb around using the nice fine teeth of the comb. I'm also using my DB20 scissor. This is the scissor that everyone asks me, what's your favorite scissor? The Mizutani DB20 5.7 inch scissor. It's definitely my all-time favorite at this point. And I'm going through and using that for my precision cutting. So now a lot of people ask me, why do I hold the scissor the way that I just did? I'll probably do it again right here. I do it all for comfort. So right now I'm using high elevation, so I don't need to do that. But then once I get down a little bit lower elevation, it's a lot easier. It's more comfortable for me, and I get a more consistent cut when I flip the scissor down and I put my thumb in the opposite direction in the scissor. So everything's coming straight back to me at this point. Slight bit of over direction, not too much. It'll push a little extra weight forward. We're cutting a nice even back right now. So there you go. That's the back of the haircut. Now I'm going to go through and blow it dry. I'm using a Paul Mitchell 413 brush. It's a nice vent brush. A lot of people use this brush. You're probably using one in the salon as well. It's a really cool brush. It allows that air to flow through it, so it doesn't keep the hair nice and flat to the head. And I have my Ergo blow dryer as well. Then we go through with our VibraStraight iron. I'm going to iron it out. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, why didn't he finish the rest of the haircut? Well, we're going to do all that with a razor. So I wanted to go through, finish the back precision cut, and then treat the other part of the haircut as a completely different haircut, because it really is. So we're going through disconnecting. I use my comb tension when I cut the back of this haircut, and I just work my way through the back. Still using the DB20 scissor. Thing I love about the DB20 scissor is the nano powder metal, which I've talked about before. It really allows the scissor to grip the hair and cut it. So I go through, I cut my line, get my nice precise line in there, and then all that hair is going to fall over top of it to create that disconnection. That's what's going to make this haircut really unique and stand out. So you can see the graduation that we created. Taking out the weight first, then deciding our length after is a really cool way. And I hope you guys use that in the salon, and let me know when you do and what you think. So now we're going to use our carving comb. This is a tool that I'm in love with. We have it on our website. Also going to pair it up with the Donald Scott Prepare, which is a liquid tool glide. It allows the razor to just glide through the hair as I cut it, keeps the hair nice and conditioned. A lot of people are worried about damaging hair, but not with the carving comb. You don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to go through using nice wide strokes with the razor, but you could see how low my elevation is. With the razor, you don't have to raise up the elevation too much because I use nice wide strokes with it. But I keep the elevation down and the length longer. So I'm not using my guideline from the graduation that I cut in the back. I'm creating a brand new guideline to have those longer pieces kind of showing through. And what I'll do is I'll show a picture of the haircut that this is kind of the inspiration for this haircut came from. And what I love about it is it had all those disconnected pieces kind of hanging over the precision part. So that was really where the inspiration for this whole thing came from. So I'm going through just over directing everything slightly back, low elevation, but just using the 100% cut side on the carving comb. If this is the first time you guys are seeing a carving comb, the cool thing about this tool is that it has a 100% cut side and then a 50% carve side. So you can go in and you can just notch out some layers, which we're going to do in a second as well. So now we're going to go in and use that 50% notch side, same over direction, but just sliding that through once and it'll take out 50% of the hair, create some layering, some movement, and some texture in that haircut. So now we're going to use our Bricado mousse. This is one of my favorite mousse that I use. I've used it in a lot of videos that you guys have watched. So if you've been following along for a long time, it's a really cool product. It's also available on freesaloneducation.com. And it's just got a really good thick feel to the foam, really conditioning feel, but it's not sticky. And that's what I really like about it. All right, now we're really working the style here, and what I want to do is I wanted to show you guys how it looks when it's more straight feeling, and then also how it looks when it has a little bit of a wave to it, like the picture that was shared. So we're going to go through, we're doing a flat wrap with the 413 brush, adding that air in, but wrapping the hair one way around the head and then going back the opposite way, really removing all of those cowlicks from the head. A lot of people talk about how do you prep hair for dry cutting, all of that. We're not going to do dry cutting in this because I did the razoring, but if I were going to prep the hair for dry cutting, I would do this flat wrap technique because it allows the hair to lay in its most natural form. Any of you guys out there that aren't hairdressers that are watching this just trying to learn the style of the haircut or get inspired to show your hairdresser this look as well, think about the fact that if you have trouble with cowlicks or anything in the morning, you could use that flat wrap technique to just go back and forth and work your way around the head, and you'll work out all those cowlicks in your style. So now I'm going through medium hold hairspray from Bricado, and you can see how seamless that falls. Even though we have that disconnection in the back, I love the way this looks. It collapses the long hair, so you can keep the length in the back. You can keep those longer layers, but it definitely takes out the weight underneath. Now we're going through with our fat iron. I think it's an 1.5 inch iron from Paul Mitchell. Just ironing back off of the face, and I work through just really fast using a wide tooth comb. That's our 332 comb, and I just finished the style that way. A little bit of firm hairspray, but you could see that wave and that kind of how it kicks over the disconnection. Such a cool look. Hope you guys like it. Let me know in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button. I got a ton more videos coming your way.